What's up, gang? Hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk about the TNC03 pay-per-view. I've got my notes here, but before we get into any of it, I just want to say it was an awesome event, amazing event, beginning to end. I enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. And as we've seen, like, it is difficult to put on live streams. So I do have critiques. I do have my ideas on things that could get better, but we'll talk about everything, the matchups, all that stuff. But all of this is, take it with a grain of salt of, they did 95% of it. Like, it was really, really good. So I'll talk about the things that were good. I'll talk about a few of the things that could be better. This isn't hating. It's the exact same thing I did for the OTD event. But first thing I want to get into, the production. Oh my gosh, the camera angles, the whole commentary booth setup. It looked like an ESPN event, like when TNT crew does their little setup at the games. That's what it looked like. That was really dope. Audio was really good. Just the overall feel and just the production. I think we all can agree. At least I think this. I think TNC does a phenomenal. That's their calling card. I think production value, quality, and getting the vibe for the like just the camera, audio, visuals, all of that, top notch. There was those trailers and like the behind the scenes kind of build up leading into it, kind of like the commercials or whatever. I thought those were really good and really well done. I do wish there was more of a build up beforehand, and that could have been me personally, just because, as you know, I'm traveling and I'm not as into the scene as I typically am. Usually I'm every day, 8 hours a day, sitting in front of my computer trying to catch up on the one-on-one scene. So maybe that's more me personally, but I didn't feel there was as much of a build-up as they could do for future events. But again, that's just something, like, you do the event, you learn, and you move on. So I think more of a build-up, like longer duration of the build-up, using all those behind-the-scenes footage and the podcasts and all that stuff was so dope. But having that like a couple weeks before, I think it would set the tone even better. The atmosphere, I thought the atmosphere was really good. It was North Carolina, so there were there were moments where I was having flashbacks, thinking that we were back in Jersey, where fans were storming the court. Rob got an and one at one point and fell down, and it was like 30 people rushed onto the court and like surrounded. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. But the fact that it was like quickly addressed, and honestly, I think the Jersey event really did put, obviously TNC, I don't know if they've had any, again, I haven't been around as much. I don't know if they've had any instances like how the Ball is Life OTD event was, but it felt like as soon as people got on the court, it was like quickly addressed. So I thought that was really good. That it's always going to be, I think when you do a live event, there's always going to be the possibility of something going wrong. So like I said, I kept having flashbacks, but the fact that they were able to get people off the court and then keep the games going, I didn't feel like anything held up for time. I didn't feel like I was waiting for the next play too often. It happened a couple times, but I mean, that just happens in the one-on-one space. So I thought the atmosphere was really good. And I wish you could, this is going to be I'm just thinking on the fly here, finding a way to bottle that energy up and be able to get that in the first couple games. We've had left-hand Dom play. I think he played in Detroit. He played at the pay-per-view game, but every time he's played, the fans have gone pretty crazy from the beginning. So now the more I'm watching this, and again, I'm just thinking on the fly, I didn't have this in my notes, but I'm just thinking that's going to be the next part of getting these matchups. And maybe it was just because Ryan and Jayloo matchup didn't go through. Maybe that energy would have happened then. So like I said, thinking on the fly and now remembering what happened. We'll get into that. The officiating, overall, elite, really good. But I do have some buts. Over the past, we've broken down like 3 or 4 games leading up to the pay-per-view, TNC games. And one thing I'm starting to notice, and it could be me, so you guys let me know down in the comments, please. I don't know if you know what rubber banding is, like in a video game. So if you're playing a racing game, Mario Kart or something, if you're in first place, the CPU like starts cheating to catch up so it makes it competitive. They don't play the same speed the whole time. I feel like there's rubber banding with the officials in the officiating. TNC is usually a much cleaner game. They try to like no contact or minimal contact, the hand checking, fouls, contesting at the basket, that sort of stuff. But I felt the last few games, including these pay-per-view matchups, whoever was losing was allowed to get away with more. And they would make calls. It felt like momentum killers or momentum starters. They would make calls that were like, but this guy's up 10. I don't want to make the wrong call, so we'll give it to the other guy because it doesn't really matter. The problem is, I think in a real game, it doesn't matter much because even if that other team goes down and scores, well, the ball changes possession after that. In one-on-one, it's make it, take it. So if you're making a call and a guy is down 10 and you're like, look, it's not going to impact it much. The other guy's down 10, so we might as well just give him a free throw. They can rattle off another 4 or 5 baskets in a row. That could be a 10-point swing. So I do think there's a bit of rubber banding going on. I think it's the human element, and I think that's something the officials need to just be aware of, try to keep it consistent the whole time. I don't know how you do that because you also don't want to blow the whistle for a weak foul call at the end and end it on a free throw. But this is a discussion piece. So I think you guys let me know down below if I'm wrong on that. The other thing, the reviews. I think Bielis was talking about it, and he said that there are reviews it was in the TNC rulebook, but I mean, you can hear the commentators, you can hear everyone when it happened was also shocked. So I don't think it's fair to blame the fans and say, well, you didn't know about it. Like, I don't think many people did. And it sounded like as it was happening, everyone was confused, not just us. I think if all of TNC just was like, yeah, it's been in the rule book, whatever, I think the fans would have been like, oh, it must have been in the rule book. But the fact that so many fans and people are confused, I think that goes to show. I don't disagree with reviews. I think there's room for it. I'm trying to think how it could work best. I did leave a weird taste in my mouth because every single call that was reviewed was overturned. And I think that's the nature of this space of it's physical. There's a carry every possession. There's a travel every possession. There's a foul every possession. You can blow your whistle every possession. So if you're forced to go to the review booth and review it, you're obviously going to have to overturn it. So at the moment, the review is basically just like a mulligan. It's a do-over. Give me the possession now. So I think something needs to change there, how a play is reviewed. Maybe it's only the last bucket of the game can be reviewed, but then everyone's just going to review it every time, no matter what, just because. I don't know. I don't know how you implement it. You guys let me know. But overall, I thought the officiating, I don't think the officials impacted the wins or losses. I think they made some calls that I disagreed with, but I don't think it would have changed the outcomes. I felt like every single player was in control of their own destiny, and I think that's the best you can do as an official. Just be like, I don't want to be the one to ruin it. The next thing I want to talk about, Lance Stevenson. He's a S tier. He's S tier for TNC. It's so cool seeing how involved he is. And when he showed up, the energy in the gym just picked up instantly. But then the fact that he's getting excited, he's talking trash, he's like fully invested. And I think that's something that we're going to continue seeing more and more in the one-on-one scene. We're seeing it with Club 520. We're seeing it with just so many more professional players, NBA guys getting involved. Miles Bridges was there. I know they had Christian Brown was there. A few other guys were there. It was awesome to see. So I thought that was really cool. Now we'll get into the matchups. So maybe I'll put a timestamp earlier in so you guys can skip to here. So if you're here now and you skipped all the other stuff, go back and watch the other stuff. It helps me make some more money. Thanks. The matchups. I thought this was the most 50-50 card that you could have possibly made. So my critiques and my praises. My praises because I think that's what they were going for. If your intention was to make this as 50-50 as possible. Nailed it. This was this was I was excited for pretty much every single game. I was excited for it. And it, as you saw in our predictions video, it was really hard for me to call the games. I did get majority of them right. However, it was I wouldn't have been surprised if I got every single one of them wrong. So well done to TNC for picking out these matchups. At the same time, though, I saw a lot of comments and a lot of people. I saw a couple like lives, Instagram lives and stuff, and people were kind of disappointed with the matchups. I get it. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, and I just think we got to chill, relax a little bit. Like, not every matchup is going to be number 1 versus number 2. I think there's an art to watching a number 10 versus a number 13, a number 15 versus number 20. I think as long as they're close enough, like, you're going to see an entertaining game. And I think that's what we got with every single matchup. So I liked it. I thought it was really good. Ryan versus Jayloo, obviously not much to talk about here. I do think the platforms now need to have in writing what happens if a player gets injured. What does an injury constitute? Is that where the trainer has to come and say, yep, he's done? What happens? Who gets paid? How do we make up the game? All that sort of stuff. That's for the platforms to decide. But I don't want to see an injury happen and then people go, oh, we never thought about what happens in case of an injury, because I'm seeing it now. People are going to start faking injuries if they're not liking the way the game is going. So I don't think that's what happened with Ryan. I think he was genuinely, you could see his hand cramping, and I've had that before. I played in a championship game, actually. Luckily we won, but I had tendonitis and spasms in my forearm, and it was my shooting arm, and I just couldn't. I knew if we lost and had to play another game, I wouldn't have been able to play. It was that bad. So I've been there. I understand it. Like, it looks like it hurts, and he should be fine the next day, though. But I don't know if they replay or whatever. But then what TNC did on the fly, which I thought was dope, was gave us 10 points free for all of those that were planning to watch that game for free and not get the pay-per-view. They got 10 points for free of the Tay and C4 game. So I thought that was pretty dope and good thinking on the fly. The Tay C4, I've got notes here, and I wrote down notes for every single game. As I was watching it was just like taking notes, just like I would if I was scouting a player. Like, you can see all my notes. And then I've got Tay and C4, and all I put, I don't know if that'll focus in on you, I just put mollywop. I didn't see that happening exactly that way. I didn't see 30-6, but again, go look at our prediction video. I did say that, I mean, we call him Volatile for a reason. He's either going to win 30-6 or lose 30-6, just based on his play style and based on how strict C4 was going to keep it. And he looked extremely polished. He was, to me, the most prepared. Him and honestly Darius Adams as well. But he was the most prepared to win a game of basketball. I think a lot of the other guys are still caught up in the entertainment side a bit, the getting involved with the fans a lot, but also probably not battle tested enough. Like, a lot of these guys haven't been playing a lot of meaningful games. I think that showed more in this Tay C4 game than any. C4 has been playing overseas. Also, he's a fellow Oklahoma boy, so shout outs to him and carrying the state on his back at the moment. But he just looked extremely polished, straight line drives. Like, he played this whole card, by the way, was full speed left, full speed right. Whoever did that won. And I mean, that's the channel motto. And I think they proved it in this, like, C4 full speed left, full speed right. Like, Tay had to deal with him. Then he backs up and now he's able to hit the three. Whereas Tay, it just felt like he had no game plan at all. Even though he's capable of doing all the exact things C4 did, he just went out there and was like, yeah, I'll just hoop. Whatever happens, happens. Whereas C4 had a really good game plan. So I probably spent way too long in that matchup. But we'll talk about Keon and Reese. This is the game I was the least excited for, just because I haven't seen Keon play other than like 2-on-2, a 3-on-3 as well. So I haven't built up that equity that I wasn't invested. And then Reese being a newcomer as well, and I haven't seen him win any meaningful games, I don't think either. So I just wasn't excited. But now I'm a Keon fan. that crazy run that he went on towards the end, like I think that was the moment that the gym really started getting involved and really started like understanding the energy. You could see Miles Bridges, like he had the biggest smile on his face while he was watching that. That was crazy. And Reese looked in control for the whole game. So I actually was not impressed with Keon. Just like I said, haven't seen any until when he went on that run. And I was like, okay, I get it. And everyone was saying that too. He can rattle off 20 straight. But really, I said that in the prediction too. It would come down to whoever went on a run. And it was kind of just more of a guess than anything. But Reese, like we watched him play against Lat, and he was just hoping to get on a roll, a scoring roll, but he didn't have a game plan either, like I was talking about earlier on. So he definitely needs to get some more straight line left, straight, full speed left, full speed right in his game. But Keon just looked like a hooper, man. So congrats to Keon. That was a really good game. Dayday Lat. This one went exactly how I thought it would go. Again, go look at all these predictions. We talked about them pretty much. I said this was in Dayday was more in control of this game than he was in control of his destiny. And we knew what Lat was going to do, and Lat did. Lat's going to Lat. Lat did exactly what we thought he would. Just the types of shots he gets, the types of looks that consistently. Whereas Dayday, he could not hit that triple threat three efficiently enough to make Lat have to. So I'm getting text messages, so my brain's getting scrambled, to force Lat to like get in an awkward defensive position. But Dayday played great defense against him. I put here downhill Dayday was a problem. So when he was getting downhill, Lat couldn't stop him. I don't know why. I know Dayday was wanting to hit that three, and I do think it was the right decision, but now I think if he could do it over again, maybe he just goes downhill for the full 30 points. And honestly, I think that can be a solid game plan for Dayday. Like, learn from Zay. He can be Zay. He can be Zayday. Take some from Zay's game. You don't have to rely on hitting that three to win. You can force the downhill, get to the basket, and then just try to rely on one or two threes rather than he was trying to get it going from three first. So that's why I said Dayday played really good defense. Lat wasn't able to get to his spots and play those mini games like he normally does. So get to the elbow shot, get to the elbow step back, get to the elbow hesitation, change your angle. So that shows me that Dayday was doing a really good job defensively, had a really good defensive game plan, but yeah, just offensively couldn't keep up. And then another thing he started changing was playing off at 2 feet, which I thought was a really good decision because he was getting to the spots and trying to sneak in those speed layups, and Dayday was contesting them. Once he adjusted mid-game, that was the key adjustment for him to score more. And that's why having a game plan allows you to adjust a lot quicker because you can see something's working or not working, and then you can adjust, and you've probably seen it before. So once he went and started playing off 2 and creating space, that's whenever he went on his scoring run. The next game, Rob versus DA. Boy, where do we start? So with the first 2, I think it was 3 possessions actually, but I put 2 here. I called the game. I thought I was like, yeah, this is Rob's game. There's no way DA wins this. I think first possession, DA tried to drive, and Rob's just like pushes him outside the elbows, outside the blocks, and he got a terrible look. Maybe he didn't even get a shot off, can't remember. But then Rob hits that super deep 3, and I was like, yep, that's game. Or no, he missed. That's what it was. He missed the half quarter first. And I was like, DA's not going to play up on that. Rob's going to win. But then DA, I think he played, you know how we always talk about 0.5 seconds of freedom. And that's one of me seeing a player get to that, a scorer especially get to that little creating space, creating separation. That's one of the first things I look for in an elite scorer. He probably played this better than anyone else I've seen in the one-on-one space. Honestly, the next best player at this is Lamar Peters. Zay's really good at it too, but Lamar Peters. But DA, I think, has been the best that does this. So creates just that little bit of space, and then he'll counter into something. But this game, Rob never forced him to do anything else. He didn't close the gap. So DA kept creating a little space and then shooting. And you can tell DA was a little uncomfortable, as in, hold on, you guys are going to take all of this the wrong way, but he's older. He's my age. And I know what that feels like. You get to a spot on the floor, you're not getting, I want to get to the elbow when I drive, but I'm not as fast as I used to be. I'm not as quick as I used to be. So if I drive at a really good angle and someone pushes me away from the elbow, if I get a little bit of space, I'm probably just shooting it because I know athletically I can't get to where I want to. But with that little bit of space, I'm like, this is as good of a shot as I'm going to get. DA was forced to shoot a bunch of those shots, foot barely on the 3-point line, driving off of his ankle, but he created space every single time and got a clean look. Rob never, like, the counter to that is to close that space out as quick as possible and force him to redrive. He's 36. And when I'm playing against players, especially like my high school kids or something like that, I hope that they don't close me out like that because I'm like, I can't drive around you. So the fact that Rob never closed that gap and forced him to redrive was really frustrating. But not the only frustrating thing is offensively, Rob just let him off the hook, just kept shooting half quarters. And I think that's the part that you guys, like casual, some of you that are like not even real basketball savants, you saw that, right? No one needs to point that out. He just didn't force the issue. He was playing with DA's win conditions. We talk about win conditions all the time. And so the outcome was what the outcome was. And Austin Mills talked about it early on a few days ago. And he was like, if you let it get weird, Rob better not let it get weird. And he did. He let it get weird. It came down to one of those reviews. This was like the first time I've seen a review. DA kind of strong-armed lay into it, but it just looked awkward. But apparently this was in the rule book. But that call was a huge momentum swing. But again, Rob was still in control and just never forced the issue. So it can't take anything away from DA. He's a professional scorer, and we saw that. I just don't think physically he could have kept up with a prime Rob if Rob had that mindset, kind of that Mamba mentality. But not everyone has that. And sometimes you need this loss. You need a loss like this to bring that out of you. We saw what happened when he lost to Scoob. He kind of had this whole shift in demeanor, so maybe this will be another shift. And when you're playing guys like this that know how to win and they're pros, you can't take a play off. And Rob took about 10 plays off this game. So, shout outs to DA. It proved me wrong and a lot of other people wrong. But at the same time, Rob, finish your food. Last but not least, Cam versus Moon. Again, first thing I put here, I just put free throws. Cam, make your free throws. Same thing. Just he was in control. This game went also how I thought it would. I thought if Cam went into halftime up 7 or more, he would win. I think he went into halftime like 4 or 5. He went in by 4 or 5. But at halftime, it was also Moon had 8 fouls and Cam only had 1. This is a typical Moon game. Like, he's going to drag the game out. So by the time they got to halftime, it had already been drug out with all these fouls. Cam starts getting tired. You could see he goes to the sideline and throws up. Like, Cam was on fire. He was in control of it, but Moon just has a way of dragging these games out. And I think he probably sees red. Like, as soon as you get a little bit tired is when he like gets his second wind. And he just rattled off whatever it was in a row, 8 points in a row or something at the end, and put Cam away. There's not a ton to break down, just because like this was another moment of like Cam just not being able to close out the game. The shot quality, I mean, Cam looked really good. He looked really polished. The shot quality heavily favored him. He was getting way better looks, but he would miss a layup, miss an open shot with it. It was like it could have gone either way. But again, it's basketball at this level. It's a make or miss league. Like, you need to take the most efficient shots you can because you're probably going to make more of those, but you still got to make them. Whereas Moon, he had a steady diet of difficult shots until I think there was 3 in a row where you could see Cam was where he started getting really tired right before he threw up. There's 3 in a row where he was not contested much at all. And then the basket just looks way more open after that point once you've hit a few in a row. And then he took advantage of that and put him away. So overall, I thought it was a really good event. I thought all the matchups were very well put together. And again, I don't think you guys understand how hard it is to put together like a live stream and everything that goes on behind the scenes. So the fact that it did as well as it did, And the matchups went the way they went. Like, I know Scotty, Frigga, I know all of TNC would have got such a good night's sleep after that, because you probably stressed for months leading up to an event and everything that goes into it. And then as soon as that last game finishes and seeing how well it went, you probably just breathe the biggest sigh of relief. So well done to TNC. I thought it was a really good event, and I thought this pushed the space forward. Well done. And to you guys, let me know what I got wrong down below. Let me know what you agree with, disagree with. I think these are good discussions to have so the next events, the next live events for TNC or OTD or Baller's Life, you look at these things and see what can be improved on or what can be changed or tweaked or whatever. But overall, I thought it was great. So let me know. See you guys in the next one.